All right, Miles, let's talk Michigan Wolverines here a little bit. This is a team obviously coming off back-to-back college football playoff appearances. Harbaugh has them heading in the right direction. And we've got to report a story that comes that this team may be even better than people are thinking right now. And they could be a legitimate force, not at the Big Ten level, not at the college football semi playoff round level, but a legitimate national title contending force.
Yeah, Nick, I think Michigan fans are going to love this story. Anytime someone's talking about you being a potential national title contender, I think you're going to love the story. But there's other things to love about this Michigan team. High power offense with JJ McCarthy at the helm. Got a lot of great receivers, but I'm not talking about this year. I want to talk about the past. Who has been your favorite Michigan wide receiver of all time? Let us know in the comments below. We're dying to hear who you love. So let us know who's your favorite Michigan wide receiver of all time in the comments below. But Nick, nonetheless, what is the big news for the Wolverines?
Yeah, so before you get into it, I'm going to say Braylon Edwards. I thought this guy would have really been a superstar in the NFL. I thought he was a freak at Michigan, great player for the Maize and Blue. But anyway, let's get to the story. So obviously, look, Michigan coming off the last two seasons, they're building a lot of momentum, but a lot of people still in the media, there's been some rumblings that they're good, but they're not really on the, they're not tier one teams. But according to the latest polls, not only are they a tier one team, they may be one of only two tier one teams. If you want to pull up this report that was first brought to our attention via SB Nation, I'll read from it. The Michigan Wolverines are among the most hyped programs heading into the 2023 season, with returning players like JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and a plethora of talent on defense. What's not to like about Michigan right now? The answer for USA Today, and they do a big poll. USA Today polls, they put a lot of weight behind it. They actually do a really good job. They're not one of these run-of-the-mill polls. The answer for USA Today, not a whole lot, as the national publication released a new preseason top 25 and placed the Wolverines at number 2, just one spot behind the reigning national champion Georgia Bulldogs. Miles, this is a phenomenal sign for the Michigan Wolverines program. And look, I get it. I feel the comments coming already. It's like, oh, it's a preseason poll. Who really cares? It doesn't matter. None of the games are being played yet, yada, yada, yada. Look, I understand that's very valid. The games haven't started. But when is the last time Michigan has ranked a top 2 team heading into the preseason? When has a Michigan Wolverines football team going into the regular season, right? Spring ball's done now. We've gotten through a lot of the recruiting. We know who the team generally is going to be, at least for the early part of next season. When has the media, when has the US Today, when has the polls come together and say, listen, the Wolverines are a top legitimate national title contender starting day one of the regular seasons, right? There's always been stories like, well, if the quarterback position works out or well, if they get better on defense, they may sneak into the conversation, right? It's one of those things like the Wolverines may find a way to battle themselves into a conversation of national title. Right now, the tide has turned so much in Ann Arbor that they're starting off the offseason as a legitimate number 2, right now number 2 contender to Georgia's throne on top of the college football world. I think that is a great sign for Michigan football, and fans should really appreciate how far they've come under Harbaugh these last few seasons. Miles, give me your thoughts on this ranking and just everything with the Michigan football program right now.
Yeah, Nick, I mean, it's no surprise to me because if you look at everything for Michigan, they're on a roll lately. They've one of the best, probably the best recruiting class coming in to Michigan here in the near future. They have a lot of great transfers. They were ranked the number 1 running back room in the country with superstar Blake Corum when he's going to be healthy next year. Michigan has a lot of really great stuff going for them, and I think they have gotten nothing but better this season than they were last season. We all know they were in the college football playoff. Last year, they just barely, lost a tough game to TCU. But Nick, I think this is a team that, given the right tools, they would love to have any opportunity to go at a team like Georgia. I think they'd have been a much better opponent than TCU would have been. I think they really could have taken it to Georgia and give them a battle, so to speak. But I think this is a team now. I think the ranking is a little bit wrong, Nick. I think Georgia has kind of come down a little bit. They're not as powerful as they once were. They've lost a lot of talent. It's going to be really hard to recoup. Stetson Bennett's gone. A lot of key players on that defense are gone. I think Michigan might be probably the number 1 seed there. I think this is a potential team that is going to be one of the most impressive teams in college football in this coming season.
And Miles, I want to hit on something that you brought up there very briefly, but I think it speaks to not only the short-term opportunities for Michigan, like the report says, the poll says, but the long-term as well. As you talked about, their 2024 recruiting class right now is number 1 in the country. So if you look at Michigan going into 2023, and I get that's where blinders are on right now, we're focused on the short term, and it looks great for Michigan, returning quarterback, returning players. Harbaugh's doing a great job contending for national title. But even if things don't go perfectly their way and they fall a little short again, they're still set up to contend in 2024 and 2025 and 2026. And that's a real credit to Harbaugh and really sticking with it in the program and the pieces he put in place, because there was some volatility there for a few years. There was some concern that Harbaugh would not be the guy to potentially return Michigan to the promised land. So not only do they have back-to-back Big Ten titles, fantastic job. Not only did they come into the 2023 season as the #1 contender to the national title defending Georgia Bulldogs, they also are set up very well for the future with the current #1 recruiting class for 2024, according to 247sports.com. So no matter how you look at it, Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines are just on a roll right now. And if you're a Wolverines fan, I tell you what, you could not be more excited with everything that's developing this program right now.